Hey everyone, this is Tony Zanders with Nexus Louisiana. Excited to be sitting with Kara Maggiore from New Schools for Louisiana. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And in such a beautiful venue. This is actually my first time in the new BRAF headquarters.
It's beautiful. They did an incredible job.
They did an incredible job. And so thanks for hosting us today. We're here to talk about education, and specifically innovation in education, which is one of the critical challenges that in Louisiana we have to get right. And at Nexus, our mission is to have our smartest minds working on the hardest problems. And so excited to be joined with you today to learn about your work at New Schools. And so before we jump in, tell us about what you do and why it matters to the state.
Sure. Kara Maggiore, Tony said that much better in Italian than I just did, CEO of New Schools for Louisiana. So New Schools for Louisiana exists to make sure that there is an excellent education option for all students across Louisiana. But specifically, one of the things that we're passionate about is expanding opportunities post-high school, meaning we want you to be able to choose whether you go to a 4-year college, a 2-year college, you enter the workforce, and we want to have the most options possible. And then, we really focus on unique value-add schools. So we work with schools that are French immersion, schools for autism. We work with schools that pay teachers a different salary band, but also change the way their workflow is managed so that they can do that. Classical liberal arts, these things that are truly innovative and unique to the models that are offered in a traditional district.
With this DevDay challenge that we're launching, again, this is our first one focused on education. I want to talk a bit for our community and our listeners around what types of people and majors, disciplines are best positioned to help innovate in education.
So specifically around this prompt, but I believe in education generally, all of them. I am a personal deep believer in the fact that education needs more content experts and a broader array of contents. For a long time traditionally, and this was my parents who taught 40 plus years, you were trained in education and in child psychology, all of that very important, but their major was education. My dad happened to get a math minor, which I think made him a stronger math teacher, but really our work wants to bring in as many majors across the board. And so when we were looking at this prompt, honestly, for people creating teams, I think the best thing to do is have a broad swath of majors on that team, anywhere from business and economics to project management and development to even like kind of more classical majors and like humanities, down to like data analytics. And I mean, you could any number of things, truly. And I think the more we have that in our schools, the more students' opportunities post-high school are going to broaden.
What would be that elevator pitch for folks listening on what the prompt is and also the background on how you settled on this particular challenge?
Sure. So Louisiana has had a bad rap in education for a long time. And in fact, recently we've gone up in the ranks and we've been doing a lot of the right things, whether that's reading initiatives and math fluency initiatives to consolidating schools to making sure that we're offering new and innovative models. All of those things are making a difference. The problem being, we've got no coordinated effort around that. Often it first happens in larger urban parishes, like an Orleans or a Jefferson or an East Baton Rouge parish, that makes sense. They're serving more population, they've got more money, et cetera. But as I'm doing this statewide work, I realize there's a huge need in our rural parishes for this, as well as some of the larger northern parishes that are often ignored, which is unfortunate. And so, we've got a lot of stakeholders in this. We've got private foundations like mine who are doing innovative work. We've got the Louisiana Department of Education. We've got districts. We've got teachers. We've got leaders who maybe just have been teaching for 30 years and want to do something innovative, 10 years and want to do something innovative. And there's no central place to analyze where the opportunity is. So we talked a lot about opportunity and demand earlier, and then I talked about unique value add, right? This prompt really gets at where do we need to place high quality, innovative schools and what type of innovation do we need? We've got Meta coming here with a data center. I can tell you right now that personally one of the biggest issues I have right now is that nobody's planning any new schools up there to benefit off of that. I think that is probably something that's going to come out in this. but we've got a ton of workforce. We've got a ton of businesses investing money. We've got Woodside investing $1.6 billion in Lake Charles. Now we're doing some work out there, but how do we be proactive about this? Where there's demand, where there's need, what type of innovation is needed? How then can the state or foundations like mine match schools and models to that, or funding for districts to make, innovation happen? And so that's what our prompt is really asking people to come up with a tool for us to be able to analyze the state and make really informed strategic decisions as a group and as an ecosystem, because right now we don't have it.
This is relevant because as you mentioned, economic development in the state is working really hard to bring in new companies, but also new industries, which in order to work at scale over time, you need a workforce. The workforce has to be skilled. You're addressing this as a K-12 foundation earlier in the pipeline, more upstream than the community colleges, than the four-year schools, which seems like a critical gap to not ignore. I feel like children are oftentimes left out of the workforce conversation because many industries do require you to be of age to be a contributor. But they shouldn't be, because in 5 or 6 years' time, that's the pipeline the community colleges need, the four-year institutions need, to play their role in that ecosystem. So this is really important work. So within the prompt itself, what types of data or resources do teams have to work with as they're developing this new solution?
The crazy part about there not being this solution already is that all of the data they need is public data.
Wow.
So I didn't have to share any private data. I didn't have to share anything that was like particularly special. The state website has a ton of data on our current schools, who's underperforming, who's not, down to even financial data of whether they're spending well, whether they have the money to spend on new schools. There's an easy way to formulate whose buildings are under capacity and being underutilized, and therefore causing over expenditures. There's also public workforce development, both at the national level about Louisiana and the local level. So all of it's public. Now I think our teams will probably get even more innovative than I was at finding some of this data, but we are giving them a head start. But all public, which means the solution should exist.
It's
kind of embarrassing for me, honestly.
No, it's, but this is why technology and innovation matters.
That's right.
And I attribute it less to competency and more to the state and our communities having so many problems to solve. It's more of a prioritization. And there's no shortage of things to work on. But we're excited to start working on this right now. I don't want to sort of, lead teams to go down a specific direction, but who would be sort of the target user of this tool? And it could be multiple, but I think that'll help teams also figure out the directions they should head in with this public data.
So I would say primarily my organization, but I do think it's multiple users. So I'll talk about how I would plan to use it, and then the other users as well. But the idea is that my organization, because it's private, has a bit of a nimbleness that more bureaucratic state government doesn't. That includes LDOE and the districts, right? And so using this data, I can identify spots and then bring together that cohort, which then they become users of it, right? So I could work with LDOE in their recovery school district office or in their choice office, or work with local districts that they're already having conversations with about innovation or the need to do something different because they're on the brink of financial ruin, right? Because of population loss or whatever. And so those are your users, right? It is the state, it is the district, and it is private organizations like mine who are funders and strategists behind schools opening. And largely that's public charter schools on the private side, but it doesn't have to be. So one of the innovations that I would love to see come out of this, or especially if we can identify where there is a need and a demand for it, is Texas has what they call the Rural School Innovation Zone. 3 border counties got together and they said, we're losing kids, we're losing money. we can't offer all of the things our kids need to be competitive in the local environment. They needed to offer electrical, they needed to offer construction, and they needed to offer medical. All 3 counties could have offered all 3, or they said, you know what, we are going to charter parts of our schools, create this rural school innovation zone. We're going to help govern it. And they were able to each offer one of those. So the 3 parishes each took one specialty. And then they kind of level up at the end of the year with the funds, but the kids can go between, and they all have a joint partnership with the community college. I would love to see solutions like that come out of this.
In terms of the real business value of this type of tool coming to life, talk about how you would measure that value. Is it would it save you time? Would it save costs? Would it, you mentioned, access to better data to make more informed decisions, which is valuable, but how would you, just practically speaking, how would this benefit in a measurable way?
All of those things are true. I'm going to go a little deep for a second.
Sure.
There's a moral cost to this. Every minute that we don't figure out what our children need to have productive, successful lives in our state, we are failing them. We are failing them because they end up not being able to be productive for themselves, or we are failing them because they feel like they have to leave their home to find where they can be productive. We have such a talent drain sometimes in this state. And as someone from here who wants to see people choose to live here their entire lives, I want them to feel like they have those opportunities here, and I want them to grow up feeling like they're not being failed from the get-go. And so this kind of data can help us provide that level of quality and that level of access to families who have not had it traditionally, whether that's because of location or because of poverty, whatever that may be. So I think that's where it starts. Outside of that, yes, efficiency then makes this go quicker. So a lot of times politics gets in the way when you've got this type of data to make it clear to people what's going on. Sometimes it can smooth that over a lot quicker. The adult problems tend to go out the window a little faster when you have hard, clear evidence that provides a strong analysis.
I think we're in an era where a lot of our investments, initiatives need data to support them.
Yep.
And I'm glad that education is in Louisiana is able to benefit from this, and we are now on Generation Alpha, and they're the second generation to be born with touchscreens. They've only ever known this, and so their needs are certainly different. And so I think that the innovation in new models do need to continue to be birthed. At the same time, though, I start to wonder about innovation fatigue. And education is something that I think falls victim to that. And not for malicious reasons. I think people generally value children, and we want them to have the most options and the best opportunities. But we've also seen failed innovation efforts, whether that's LAUSD in California with the iPad rollout or other ways. What type of cautionary tales would you share to teams? Or a lot of our teams will have faculty sponsors and other experts kind of coaching them. How can these teams kind of benefit from some lessons that we may have learned? Because not every innovation is a good one. And again, the impact of these are because we're helping families, we're helping school districts do good work. I think it could benefit from some lessons we may have learned from the past 20 years.
For sure. Well, I would start with the point of innovation is that there's a certain rate of failure, right? So we do have to get comfortable with that. Luckily with, I think, this prompt, it is something that it's built in useful, like we need this and we need this yesterday. But I would say if you're looking to found an EdTech company and you're looking to make your sellout at 15 and 20 million, et cetera, my caution would be this. Technically, technology is for efficiency and added capacity in so many types of businesses, especially when a business is looking for a return on a monetary investment. In education, it is more about the human experience and the human capital of it all. And so you are looking at things like increasing rigor for students and teachers. You are looking at differentiation. So many students are in so many different places for a number of different reasons. Technology has a beautiful ability for a teacher to be able to broaden their capacity to do outreach to those students where they are, to push them. And then also for accountability, right? And so, because accountability involves feedback, and I know feedback's a nasty word sometimes, but it's important. When you're growing, it's how you evolve, it's how you develop. Kids do that through feedback. And so technology has given us incredible ways to give real-time feedback that is consistent with child psychology, which is where I'll end. I think everyone values the experience of children, and we all know that taking care of them is our greatest responsibility, especially as grown adults. Child psychology is important, and that stands for tech. And so anything you're developing around education or around students needs to be done with that in mind, which is why I say, don't say only certain types of majors can do this. A psychology major is a great addition to your team. A philosophy major who can ask questions and understand the ethics of something. So I think this is where most people go awry, is they create for that with that efficiency in mind, or that building capacity to add efficiency, and they forget education's a little different. At the end of the day, it's about humans at every step of the ladder.
Well, I can't wait to see the response to this prompt and the solutions they come up with. It's going to be a fun competition that I think will have real world impact for our citizens. So thanks for your work in general.
Well, thank y'all.
Thanks for your sponsorship of this challenge, and can't wait to see what's next.
Awesome, me too. And I appreciate the collaboration. I think that is the beauty of this community, is like, we're collaborating across sectors, and that's what's going to lead to results.
Thank you, Kara, for the work New Schools does in general. It's been a pleasure introducing this EdTech Dev Day, the first of its kind from Nexus. We can't wait to see the solutions that come to light from it. Thanks again.